calavera, mira, mira, calavera. Dale 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 calavera, mira, mira, calavera.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Irma Ruiz, and you are watching Tarot Card Comedy. Thank you for being here today, or tonight. I don't know when they're airing this show. But we are here with Mr. Adam Dominguez from Las Vegas, Nevada.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for having me, Irma. And for everybody who's watching this, I green screened my hair.
You green screened your hair.
It's thinning.
It's not that you're thinning. I think you might be going gray because it's blending into the green screen behind you.
I mean, everything I'll ever possibly say is going to try to make myself feel better. So I'm going to take what you said and I'm going to put it on here and hopefully thicken this out.
All right, Adam. So thank you again for being here. And, I had to say something before we get started on reading your tarot cards. Is, when the whole 2020 pandemic started, I was looking at different, comedians, different friends who are doing different productions, and you were one of the ones that I looked at. And if it were not for you, I would have no idea what a Streamlab was. What was the other thing that he was using? It was Streamlabs, the Stream Deck. Do you have a Stream Deck?
Yes.
Yes, you see? I had no idea, and I was trying to do stuff on my own, and I was just like stalking you, and I was like, look at this. What is this? I think you were using StreamYards.
I was definitely, okay.
During the very beginning, yeah.
During COVID, when you learn that comedy is going to be changing completely, I was talking to a lot of friends of mine, and I had always wanted to be, have my own Twitch stream or my own live stream or my own little show, which I'd already had done. But now was kind of my perfect opportunity to definitely throw more things against the wall and see what sticks. Now we're doing pretty well, and I'm lucky to be here inside a virtual Vegas studio where they've worked with me on creating digital content, because comedy, I mean, you've already felt it too. Comedians and comedian fans have definitely felt this. Without having that stage or that experience, that comedy club or comedy show experience, it's weird.
It is. Absolutely.
But if you're funny, you can be funny anywhere, not just on stage, And
you just have to adapt. You have to adapt. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. I was at an open mic a few nights ago, and one of the open micers like, I can't do that. I'm like, well, because you can't do it, you need to force yourself. You need to put yourself in that situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
it ends up being a muscle.
That's I can't do it is not good. People don't want to hear that.
It's something that you got to learn how to flex, because it was the same thing I was telling a lot of comedians here, is that even though you're great on stage, at some point you're going to want to expand. You're going to want to be like an actor. Or you're going to want to, they get how many comedians become actors or how many comedians be writers and stuff. So you can't just be just so married to the stage and that's it. And, that's it. You wind up having to learn how to grow. And in this day and age where everything's digital, we've been living in this digital age for a while now. And it seems kind of strange that comedy was one of the last ones, You
have to be a holistic entertainer.
Yeah.
Is that the right word? The holistic? It means like everything, right? Yeah, I think it is. It is.
Well, I mean, I picture like all of the herbal remedies that are holistic. You just got to believe that it works. So this is funny.
I hear you. Okay, Adam, are you ready to get your cards read? Do you want me to just do one at a time, or do you want me to pull out three and then we just talk about it?
You're going to have to surprise me because this is the soberest I'm going to be.
Ooh. Aw, you need to drink some more then. Okay. Here we go. All right. I'm going to do three. All right.
Hit me.
Here we go. We have number 1. Ooh, burden. That's pretty interesting. What were we just talking about right now? You know what I mean? Like, we feel like, oh, well, I mean, things are starting to open up a little bit now as far as the comedy scene. But for a while, it felt like our careers were kind of, like, at least for 3 months, 2 to 3 months, we felt like it was kind of holding us back from living our lives. It was our livelihood. So, what do you think about this burden? What can you tell us about this?
I think it's kind of a strange thing because I've been seeing a lot of. All right, I moved away from El Paso, Texas, 2 years ago to come out to Vegas. I just packed up a U-Haul, the last of my cash to be able to pay rent in the place I was moving, and cover some bills. And I got here, and comedy was good to me. I've been paying for my livelihood through comedy for the past 6 years. So right when the pandemic happened, I had just signed a contract to be a resident comic at Jimmy Kimmel's Comedy Club.
Yes, I
Like
saw that. Yes.
I, I was supposed to be like, I had this lineup all set, and we were going to have a great time. Um, but I was also the first show canceled because of everything that was going on. So now it's kind of put this stress and burden of like having to compromise with, okay, we're not going to have that opportunity to do live shows anymore in your livelihood. You can't do these things anymore. And now we're in this state where my creativity is now having to fucking just got hit of like, all right, I got to create the same way we're doing shows like this. We have to create and constantly do stuff. And honestly, it wears you out. It wears you out.
Because now you have to think in a whole, you have to think outside of the box. How can I do what I'm doing, but in a different?
Yeah. So I have a Twitch stream, and I have the sketches that come out. My weekly sketch.
Coffee. What do? You do coffee in the morning with Adam or so, coffee with? Yeah, I watch those. I'm a fan. I just had to say I'm a fan.
Thanks. My morning coffee at noon has been something that I challenge myself to sit there and write like the dumbest thing I could think of over a coffee. And I feel now that burden of like, I got to keep creating it because it's built in popularity now. And honestly, balancing that with being able to pay bills and then being able to still explore myself creatively is wearing.
Oh, don't cry. Did your voice just crack?
No, I'm going through puberty at 35. That's what happens.
You need to cry, you big baby. Okay, so let me ask you this, because earlier when we were talking about this, what did you say this one? Burden. All right. When you were talking about earlier when we started talking about burden, you talked about moving from El Paso to Las Vegas. Like, what was it that made you decide Las Vegas and not LA? Like, I imagine from El Paso it's the same distance, LA, same distance.
Let's be real. Let's be real then. I had done everything that I possibly could in my hometown, right? I was already producing shows. I was already headlining a bunch of other things. I was already well within the comedy club over there, but that was about it. My hometown, when it comes to comedy, is like kind of like an oasis. There's nothing out there. You've been there. What else? Where can you drive to go catch like a worthwhile show?
So how far is El Paso from LA? Because like to me, like I'm like, oh my God, it's right there. Because I'm in San Antonio and I'm an 8-hour drive away from El Paso.
Oh no, it's gonna take you maybe about 13 hours, but I drive really fast. So it became an issue where I was visiting San Antonio and Dallas and Houston and Corpus and Oklahoma City and everything. And I was going out that way, and I could have filled my dance card by just staying in Texas. But I wound up getting booked on a week's worth of shows in Las Vegas. And then I was going to LA to go do some shows and visit a girl I was dating at the same time.
We haven't even hit the lover's card yet, guys.
Because she had plenty of them.
Oh, you don't say.
Hey, so did I. That's fine. So what ended up happening was I went to Vegas. I did one show. on a Monday night that was packed wall to wall. It was at Backstop at the in Boulder City. It's right by the Hoover Dam, and I was featuring. And here's the crazy part for comedian fans out there: if you're featuring, you're anticipating doing 30, maybe 35, maybe 40 minutes, depending on the show, right? I go over there, they say, you're featuring. And I said, cool, can you light me at 25 minutes? And they said, oh, no. Features here get 15 minutes. And they were paying
Wait,
me
so what does a headliner get?
30. And they were paying me enough where I kind of was so confused. I was like, wait, and you're paying me how much? And they said, this much. And I said, no. And I almost broke down crying, thinking, I've been working so hard.
At that point, you should have been like, y'all need to pay me headlining.
I've been stabbed on stage for $10 on a show.
Oh, wait, you're saying it was very little.
No, it was so much. I got paid.
Okay. I got a little confused. So you mean
I got
before
paid.
that you were doing $10?
Yeah, I was doing $10 shows, and I've still got the stab wound in Texas when I got cut. But it got to the point where after meeting all the comedians and the promoters and the comedy club owners and just talking with the fans there, I was so excited. I was so hyped up about it that I went to Los Angeles. I did like another week and a half full of shows, and I just immediately fell in love with the city. I saw that I realized it was easy for me to travel to Los Angeles to be able to perform when I needed to.
Like flights are like $30 from Vegas to LA.
Drive is 4 hours, and hang out in Vegas, and you'll be able to go up on worthwhile shows almost nightly. And it felt great. It felt super fantastic.
I completely understand that, because when I met Adam, I met you in Vegas. I didn't even know you in Texas.
No.
Am I right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But before the pandemic, my husband and I, we were in Vegas like almost every month. I would see you at least once a month. You know what I mean? I would go to Vegas so much, I was getting annoyed by the tourists. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, and bam! This is called oh.
Disaster.
This is a card of absolute disaster. So you have some bad news coming up in your future.
You want to know what's crazy about it, though, is that if you're a stand-up comic, I've been doing this for 9 years, right? I've lived so many lives.
This is literally the worst card in the deck from what I've learned.
It's what I deserve. It's here's what it ultimately comes down to for me, is that comedy and the lifestyle that I live is not easy. It has never been easy. I'm so used to getting bad news day in, day out. And it's having that positivity and being able to spin it the best way you can is kind of what gets you out of it. And don't get me wrong, let's be real completely honest. It's not that I'm okay with absolute disaster happening. If you've ever seen my set or followed my career, you know for a fact that I make magic out of straight bullshit. I have a habit of like, hey, you remember that one time you got shot at? Hey, remember that one time you got held up by the cartel? You remember that one time that, oh yeah, I got held up by cartel by the Aztecas.
Wait, did that really happen?
Yeah, all this is
you
very
got
true.
held up by the cartel?
I got held at gunpoint from a hookah lounge that I used to run in El Paso, Texas, because a coworker of mine stole a brick of cocaine and sold it on his own. And then they came out here to try to find him. And when I refused to rat him out, brought me outside, held me at gunpoint, and threatened my life.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, I don't go to El Paso a lot. I've been there like maybe 3 times. And the first time I went, like in these most recent years, I did an open mic, and there was a crazy ass fight. Like fight, like crazy, like the guy like got behind the bar and was like getting like bottles, and I was like, wait, hold on, let me get my phone. You know.
Here's to put things into perspective from where I'm from and hearing stories like that and then coming up from that. I'm so used to it. I'm so used to it at this point where we're here. I moved here to Vegas where, yeah, things are crazy. And yeah, there are places where
People are like so politely rude to each other in Las Vegas. I've
yeah,
seen y'all's Facebook fights, and I'm just like, oh, they're so sweet.
we're catty, but we're also kind of sweet. And that's the thing. When it comes to absolute disaster, you pulling that card right now is just honestly like, yeah, I kind of expected it. It's like,
Yeah,
all right, let's go.
that's what you
Let's go.
get.
That's what happens.
I like your shirt. What does your shirt say on it?
It's from I'm an obscure geek. So this is from a video game, and actually a fan bought it for me. It's a video game called BioShock. Uh, it's a super fantastic game, and this is a fan bought it for me after I did a joke about it at a Comic Con in Dallas. And a shout out to if any of my fans are totally watching this. Shout out, thank you guys so much for the shirts you guys buy me, and the one guy who bought me underwear, of which I'm totally wearing right now. I just realized that. Thanks, Rob.
Okay, let's do the next card. Next card right here for Adam Dominguez. Poverty. The 5 of coins represents poverty. I'm sorry. I'm
No.
sorry.
Make it
I
rain
mean,
on
I don't
me,
know.
Lady
Should we
Gaga.
just start all over again and like throw these out?
No, keep it.
Okay.
This is all par for course.
Yes. I don't like this game anymore.
You got to let these things happen. You know, for every rain, there's a rainbow. And at which point, here's the crazy deal. If when my story comes out at the end of all of this, and they're like, yeah, that guy, they're gonna turn back and be like, you heard all these stories about him and how all that shit's true, and then they're gonna come back to this interview where they're like, yo, it was in the cards too.
It was in the cards, dude. Touche.
So optimism, pass it on, even though it's making me lose my
Okay,
fucking
we
hair.
have to get an optimistic card. Okay, next card. Here we go. Please make this good.
No, make it dead.
Just kidding. Oh, I like this one. So let's talk about your love life right now. Do you like girls? I bet you're like
Most of them.
what? Most of them. I just
Most
fucking
of
with
them.
you. No, really. Tell me, like, are you dating anybody or like
mean,
what's going on in your love life right now? Can I be a little bit nosy if you don't mind?
You
You don't,
can-
you don't
I
have to
told
give
you-
names. You don't have to give names. Fucking
I
give
told you-
names.
I told you at the beginning of this that I was always going to be extremely transparent. I was dating a comedian out of Los Angeles. We split
Do I know
up,
her?
officially in February, after I was caught holding hands with somebody because I was.
What is this? Like 7th grade? You were
I know.
caught holding hands with somebody?
Perish the thought. But to be fair, I had cheated before, so this was not a good idea, right? So obviously you're throwing chum into the water. And then we started trying to talk this out, but then I just found out in July that she started dating somebody new. We tried to remain friends, and it wasn't up until this past LA trip that we realized that ain't gonna happen. You ever tried to be friends with an ex? There are
I'm
a
friends
couple.
with my ex, but he pays me child support. So
I should have knocked up that bitch when I had a chance. No. So it eventually, right now, there are a couple people that I'm talking to. There's maybe less than the couple that I'm like super interested in. But for right now, until this is gonna sound so shitty, comedy's the love of my life, and that's a lot to ask for. So
the comedy is the love of your life, is what you're saying.
yep.
I understand that. So,
Are we saying that's going to end in disaster too? All of this? Is comedy going to cheat on me? Is comedy?
I see comedians dating other entertainers, but I see comedians marrying people who are completely polar opposite from them. What do you think about that?
Completely normal people is attractive because when you wind up becoming a comedian, nothing is stable, right? You're talking about situations that are unstable. You're talking your emotions, which are most of the time unstable. You're talking about your mental capabilities and health
You're
because
talking about
you're
being
unstable.
on stage.
Yeah, this is the on-stage persona, and the thing is that when you're challenged to take that off stage and write and constantly compose, your brain tends to go that way. I'm not a normally dirty, filthy, smart ass comic or smart ass person off stage, right? When I'm off stage, I'm pretty subdued, but when I'm in writing mode, I'm still that guy. So when I wind up having to date another comic, which I've done, it's nice because you speak the same language. You totally do. But I will say it when it comes to like straight relationships. It was really, really tough for us because she is an attractive female comic who would get looked down upon for being dating another comic. You know what I'm saying? Right? It's just a weird thing where they wind up looking down at her and they wind up saying, like, hey, she's only with this guy because he can get her gigs, you know? And the stress of that and then having to just kind of shut up, no blasting anything online or any of that stuff. And I'm insecure. So having to balance the two makes it so much more stressful, already a stressful job. So when I say that if you're going to date another entertainer, great, but it's an uphill battle.
It is. It really is. And
Yeah.
I whenever like I meet younger comedians, it's like, oh, so and so is cute. I'm like, stop.
Plus, yeah, you don't want a girl come up to a group of people and say, yeah, my ex was a comedian, but the best joke that he ever told was a short inside joke. And you're like, you fucking bitch.
Are you ready for your next card? It's right here.
Hit
It's
me.
calling me. It's calling me. Oh, it's calling for you, and
Did
here
you
it
get the
is.
towers again?
Strong leadership, finally. Oh my God. Thank you. You lead the rest of the crowd. You read the rest of the comedians in a life of despair.
Come with me to oblivion, you sons of bitches.
Leadership. No, and you know what? And like I told you before, everybody that I'm bringing onto the show, if you haven't popped already, I feel like you're at the cusp. I was like, I gotta get this motherfucker on my show.
I honestly look, here's when it comes down to like doing the whole entire leadership aspect of this is I talk a lot of shit and I'll talk a lot of shit to comedians and I try to get them to be better. Like I try to pull a bunch of comics aside and I try to work with them to make them better because this isn't just about me. The whole comedy game isn't about me. It's hopefully maybe be able to inspire somebody from my hometown who didn't feel like they were, cornered up, that they couldn't do anything with the creativity aspect of this. So we're all eventually going to be mechanics and welders or manage a Family Dollar. And and ultimately my whole entire game with this, and the only thing that really, really keeps me super going with this has been just the sole focus of building some sort of a scene, So.
All right, Adam. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna pick your next card. Are you ready for this?
Hit me. Do people still dance like this and after the apocalypse?
No, you're doing it wrong. It's like this.
Am I supposed to?
That's my chola style. And I promise I wouldn't tell anybody that Adam is Mexican. Just kidding. No.
What I've totally said, I didn't have okay. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas, and the thing is, when I got started with stand-up, everybody was doing, Latino-based comedy to a point where when I started telling people that I was a stand-up comic, everybody was constantly saying, "Oh, like George Lopez, oh, like Fluffy," and every open mic was chancla jokes and stuff. And for me, to break out of that I did my best to not really make that like the sole focus about me. I'd rather it be like, oh, he's funny because all the shit he's saying is relevant everywhere. It's not just of what people were looking at and thinking, like, oh, of course, because that's what Mexicans do, porque son la raza, you know, pon un acento en su nombre, todo eso. And I just like, nah, I can't do it, right? Because the biggest demographic that I have hardest problem with is always going to be like the real like Mexicans.
Yes, it's the same thing for me. I get it. I get it. But the thing is, I have to make a point of that. Whenever I'm doing comedy, I make it clear. I don't speak Spanish. I do have like a accent, but it's because of the community that I was raised in. You know what I mean? And so like people like expect me to speak Spanish, but I don't. You know? But you, on the other hand, growing up in El Paso, how did you manage? You do not have an accent.
I learned a simple phrase that got me out of everything, which was "Sabes qué, chief?" And that was it. And it worked for me because if I ever needed anything done, and if somebody were asking me something in Spanish, I'd "Sabes qué, chief?" And I was so expressive with my face that they just knew. So if I was working at a hotel for 5 years, and if I had, somebody come over from the border to spend the night at the hotel, and they were to say something, and I understand Spanish, right? I can speak it fairly well.
Can you speak it? Are you fluent in Spanish?
Oh, no. I'm not. I can understand it when it's being spoken to me.
Like, I know enough Spanish to be able to order from a taqueria. That's about it.
I've learned how to suppress it for the most part, but you hand me too many cheap hornito shots, and then all of a sudden I'm kind of like,
you're a cholo.
I turn straight into more of like the cartel's accountant, right? where they're like, pues, ¿quién sabe sus números? Aquí estoy. Well, give me, dame sus papeles y a ver.
Okay.
And then after that,
you're enough for LA to be like, yeah, he's Mexican.
Yeah.
He can roll his R's.
Living in Vegas now, I genuinely have that experience where people come up to me and they're like, "You're Mexican, right? You know what's a good taco around here." And I'm like,
let me ask you. I mean, being Latino, being Mexican, I mean, I don't know how you feel, but I get embarrassed when other Mexicans or Mexican Americans speak to me in Spanish and I can't speak back.
Well, watch. Quick role play. Say you're working at a mechanic shop.
Yo estoy trabajando en I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
And then you come up to me and you're like, okay, ¿qué es el problema? And I'd be like, ¿sabes qué, chief?
¿Dónde está el baño?
And they'd be like, oh, I get it.
Tacos zapatillos, por favor.
He's one of us, which if there are actual Mexican people watching this, they're going to be like, he's such a fucking full of shit person. I've been really, really happy with the cards that you've been pulling so far. Everything has been sounding like life has been going great for me. I cannot wait to see what my final card is going to be.
Picked out all the sad cards that he has not gotten yet. There are 5 out of a total of 72 cards.
Okay, so give stop saying the Lord's name in vain.
My dick cures COVID, so there's no science to it. Everything I was about to say was going to be the most disrespectful thing I was going to say.
But guys talk about their private parts all the time. Is that you have a problem? Okay, so we have the Empress, a strong.
You didn't even finish that sentence. You just said you have a problem. I respect the fuck out of women. Speaking of sugar mamas.
Carter's strong masculine energy. Fake news. What is this? 4. Well, that's not 4. That's 9 of cups.
It has a 12-disc CD player with 3 jam CDs, 2 of which are Shania Twain. You know what? I fuck with Burger King. Yo, girl, come over here. Get this Whopper. I didn't say that convincingly enough. I'm gonna die. I beat women in Mario Kart because
Number 2, keep the Pac-Man, but make Pac-Man bigger. Because you made him the same size as the ghost. Oh,
wife.
is daylight out in Las Vegas right now?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's absolutely. I lost my train of thought there.